at Parliament today, Steinhoff's former CEO, Markus Jooste, explaining his part in the scandal that rocked the global retailer. Now, Steinhoff owns household brands like Pep, Ackermans, Russell's and Incredible Connection, among others. This was Markus Jooste's first public appearance since his abrupt resignation in December over accounting irregularities, which saw the company's share price plunge by an incredible 95%. Now, that crash has had a profound effect on some South African pension funds, which were incredibly heavily invested. Let's get you the latest on the story now. eNCA's Lester Kiewit was in Parliament. Lester, the chair of that committee, one of the chairs of that committee, referring to Markus Jooste as painting himself as the Mother Teresa of Steinhoff. What did you make of whether we heard anything new coming out of what was meant to be a tell-all appearance?
Well, I think Scopa chairperson Themba Godi put it correctly that now we have three versions of what happened at Steinhoff, leading to the collapse of that company and the near collapse of their shares, in which 1.1 million government pension funds are invested in. He says there's now a version of the Steinhoff chairperson, Christo Visser, a version of the former CFO, Ben Lachanje, and now there's a version of the former CEO, Markus Jooste, saying that we're still not anywhere close to find out what exactly happened at Steinhoff at the end of December last year. Markus Jooste painting a picture that it all is a result of a dodgy business deal, a sour business deal with an Austrian business partner, which Markus Jooste said was a bad decision to get involved with, and that based on that there was litigation, or the threats of litigation and tax probes in Germany, which was meant to influence a civil suit in that country that led to the collapse of Steinhoff internationally. And now Markus Jooste saying that he resigned on the 4th of December, taking responsibility for what may have happened, not going into detail what exactly he is culpable for, but he says that he resigned on the 4th of December, meaning anything that has come out in the public domain after that date, he is not responsible for.
So, Lester, you mentioned Ben Lachanje, the former CFO of Steinhoff. He's also given his version of events, and according to him, and Markus Jooste said the same thing in Parliament today, there was no single audit firm that was responsible for checking the entire group, and so it allowed for things to slip through without being picked up. He also said there were several transactions that appeared to be valid, and they later turned out to have been done by third parties who were apparently influenced by Markus Jooste. What did he have to say about that?
Well, Markus Jooste first sketching a broad outline of just how Steinhoff International is structured, saying that there are offices in the Netherlands, Germany, South Africa, with various other business groups, Steinhoff being a holding company of other retail chains and other retail and brand companies, and saying that because of that they all have different auditing structures, auditing teams, so it's quite difficult to get all of their books in order. But he did somewhat hint that there was some dubious, in what he calls dubious accounting that was done by the Deloitte auditing firm, saying that first they had found no reason to believe that there was any accounting irregularities, and then they found otherwise, which somewhat led to the downfall of this company. Also saying that that because of all these auditing companies around the world in the different business units, that providing a full and detailed financial reading at the end of the financial year, that proved to be difficult, and that also led to the share value dropping quite drastically. So Markus Jooste is not taking any blame for what happened at Steinhoff, saying that there are other factors at play, leading from dodgy business deals to some the accounting and the auditing practices being a bit decentralized in the company, and saying that this all led to the collapse of the company.
Mr. One doesn't get the sense that MPs were satisfied with today's sitting. I mean, a number of times some MPs had to ask for the chair to remind Markus Jooste that this is not his boardroom, he is not in charge. Also questioning why he came so heavily lawyered up when he had nothing to hide.
I think one must remember that Steinhoff is a private company, Markus Jooste is a private individual, so they're not directly accountable to Parliament for oversight. Where Parliament does have its oversight in how the management of the Public Investment Corporation, who manages the 1.1 million rand government employee pensions, and where that becomes involved in the Steinhoff saga. They also have oversight of the Hawks and other financial regulatory systems. So it would be quite difficult for MPs to impose strict commands to him in terms of what they want or what they want answered. So I think this was a game that was played out. Markus Jooste very well knowing his rights, that any of the evidence that he presented here today cannot be used against him in a court of law in future civil or criminal litigations, except if it is found that he may have perjured himself. But at the same time, MPs wanting to get to the bottom and also wanting to reveal just how government employees' pensions became so vulnerable during that time of Markus Jooste, the share value of Steinhoff dropping 95% during that time, which meant government pensions were left quite vulnerable. So I think there was this power play here in this committee room today, with MPs trying to assert their dominance, their territory, Markus Jooste being here in the parliamentary precinct, but at the same time Markus Jooste understanding his rights, understanding that he does not necessarily account to Parliament, and that he may have legal issues further down the road. And this is why he brought up to two senior counsels as well as a group of other lawyers with him here today.
So Lester, okay, so we're no closer to hearing what actually unfolded at Steinhoff that led to that collapse last year. But there are a number of investigations that are underway, both here in South Africa and abroad. What are some of the reports that we are waiting on? I know there's a Hawks report that's set to come out in 12 days or so.
That's right. Last week, the Steinhoff Advisory Board's chairperson, Heather Son, that they're still waiting for several forensic reports to come out to try and to uncover what exactly happened at the company, what exactly led to the collapse of that share price, putting government pensions at risk. At the same time, Steinhoff has also laid criminal complaints against Markus Jooste with the Hawks. Last week, when the Hawks were here before Parliament and gave a brief update on those investigations, they're saying that they haven't received certain statements from as late as January this year. So it doesn't appear as if this investigation into Steinhoff is going anywhere soon. I think Parliament MPs actually want to know, the South African public actually want to know what exactly happened and what exact criminally, how if anyone could be held criminally culpable for what happened at Steinhoff. It's been described as the biggest corporate scandal in South African history, but who exactly will be to blame, we don't know. There's still several reports outstanding. The Hawks say they're working with their counterparts in Germany and the Netherlands. As the parliamentary chairperson here said, in the next 2 weeks they'll be expecting an update from the Hawks on just how far that criminal investigation is. But what we can hear from last week's testimony by the Hawks here to Parliament, I don't think anyone should be holding their breath for a criminal investigation to be coming to a head anytime soon. Yeah, it didn't turn out to be that tell-all appearance in Parliament by Markus Jooste. Thanks very much for that update. Lester Kiewit in Parliament for us, our reporter tracking that story, as the former Steinhoff CEO Markus Jooste makes his first appearance in Parliament in public as well since the collapse of Steinhoff shares in early December last year.